Every country has its blind spots. The meals you grew up eating without a second thought that make the rest of the world physically recoil. In Britain, we have 25 of them. Number 18 on this list has made grown adults in America gag on camera. Number 7 is so baffling to the French that they genuinely think we are joking when we describe it. And the meal at number 1, the one we consider the height of comfort, has been called the single most confusing plate of food on Earth by international food critics. Before we start, subscribe and drop a comment telling me which of these you had for tea last week. Let us count down the 25 British meals that are perfectly normal here, but absolutely bizarre everywhere else. Number 25. Beans on toast. It sounds too simple to be controversial, but mention beans on toast to an American, an Italian, or anyone from Southeast Asia and watch their face contort like you have just described a crime. Heinz baked beans, that orange sauce, poured over a slice of buttered white toast. In Britain, this is a legitimate dinner, not a side dish, not a snack. Dinner. Students live on it. Office workers come home to it at 6:30 when they cannot be bothered to cook. Mothers serve it to children who refuse everything else on the planet. The beans are sweet, which horrifies the Spanish, who expect their beans savory and firm. The toast goes soggy within 90 seconds, which horrifies absolutely everyone. Yet an estimated 2.5 million tins of Heinz beans are sold every single day in Britain. We are not embarrassed by beans on toast. We are proud of it. The rest of the world simply cannot fathom why. Number 24. Chip butty. Take a slice of cheap white bread. Butter it. Fill it with hot chips. Close it. Eat it. That is a chip butty. Carbohydrates inside carbohydrates held together with fat. In Northern England, this is not a joke. It is a Friday night institution. The chips must be proper chippy chips, thick cut and slightly soggy with vinegar. The bread must be soft, white and cheap. No sourdough, no ciabatta, Warburton's or Kingsmill. Maybe a squirt of ketchup if you are feeling fancy. In France, where the chip was arguably perfected, the idea of putting frites inside bread is considered an insult to cuisine itself. In Japan, food presentation is an art form. A chip butty would cause a cultural incident. Yet in Sheffield, in Wigan, in Liverpool, this is comfort. This is home. And if you add a scrape of curry sauce, you have reached peak Friday. First pattern break. Here is something worth knowing. The chip butty has its own chant at Sheffield United football matches. Thousands of grown adults singing about a chip sandwich in unison. That tells you everything about how seriously we take food that the rest of the world considers a mistake. We do not just eat these things. We build identity around them. And it does not stop there. Every entry from here gets stranger to outside eyes. Number 23. Marmite on hot buttered toast. Half the country worships it. The other half would rather lick a battery. That dark brown yeast extract, spread thin on hot buttered toast, is a breakfast staple that has baffled the world since 1902. Australians will claim Vegemite is the same thing, but it is not. Marmite is sharper, saltier, more aggressive. Americans who have tried it on camera almost universally spit it out, usually because they spread it on like peanut butter instead of a whisper-thin scrape. The flavor is pure umami, concentrated and intense. In South Korea, where fermented foods are revered, Marmite still gets rejected for being too confrontational. It is the one British food that even adventurous eaters approach with genuine fear. Yet British children are raised on Marmite soldiers from the age of 1. It is in our blood, literally. The B vitamins see to that. Number 22. Full English breakfast. To us, it is the greatest meal ever conceived. To the rest of the world, it is an act of deliberate self-harm served on a plate. Bacon, sausages, fried eggs, baked beans, toast, grilled tomato, mushrooms, black pudding, and a mug of tea strong enough to strip paint. All of it glistening with fat by 8 o'clock in the morning. Italians, who consider a cornetto and espresso the only civilized breakfast, look at a full English the way you might look at someone doing a triathlon in their pajamas. The portion size alone is enough to alarm most of continental Europe. The combination of sweet beans next to savory sausage next to fried bread bewilders anyone raised on a single-flavor breakfast. Yet the full English is sacred. Cafes across Britain serve it 7 days a week. Arguments over whether hash browns belong on the plate have ended friendships. And no hangover in history has survived contact with a proper fry-up. Number 21. Toast sandwich. Yes, a sandwich where the filling is toast. A slice of toast placed between 2 slices of untoasted bread, seasoned with salt and pepper. This is not a myth. It appeared in Mrs. Beeton's Book of Household Management in 1861 and was recently calculated by the Royal Society of Chemistry to be the cheapest meal in Britain at roughly 7 pence. The world thinks we invented this as a dare. We did not. It was a genuine meal for the unwell, bland enough to be inoffensive and warm enough to provide comfort. Even by British standards, this one is hard to defend. But it exists. It has a recipe. It has a history. And somewhere in this country, someone had one last Tuesday. Number 20. Scotch egg. A boiled egg wrapped in sausage meat, coated in breadcrumbs, and deep fried. The rest of the world hears that description and assumes it is a bar snack from a fever dream. In Britain, it is a picnic essential, a petrol station staple, and the centerpiece of many a Marks and Spencer meal deal. The Scotch egg provokes genuine confusion internationally. Is it a starter? A main? A snack? Why is it cold? The answer is yes to all of the above, and because it is better cold. Hot Scotch eggs with a runny yolk have become a gastropub obsession, but the classic cold Scotch egg, slightly rubbery and aggressively beige, is the one that confuses the world. Pulled from a rucksack at a cricket match and eaten with your hands, it is British dining at its most unapologetic. Number 19. Mushy peas. Not mashed peas. Not a puree. Mushy peas. Marrow-fat peas soaked overnight, boiled until they collapse into a thick green sludge, and served in a polystyrene cup or slopped next to fish and chips. The color alone alarms most foreigners. That vivid, almost nuclear green sits on the plate like a dare. The texture is somewhere between a dip and a mistake. Americans see it and ask if someone has already eaten it once. The French dismiss it as bouilli, mush, unworthy of a civilized table. Yet in Britain, fish and chips without mushy peas is considered incomplete. The vinegar-soaked, mint-tinged slop is as essential as the salt. Chip shops across the north sell it by the ladleful, steaming in heated metal trays, and children eat it straight from the tub with a wooden fork. It is beloved. It is hideous. It is ours. Number 18. Black pudding. Blood sausage. That is what it is. Pig's blood, oatmeal, and fat packed into a casing and sliced into rounds. In Bury, Lancashire, it is a point of civic pride. The Bury black pudding stall has been trading since the 1800s. Across the north, black pudding is a non-negotiable component of the full English, sliced thick and fried until the edges crisp. Internationally, the reaction ranges from polite refusal to outright horror. American food reviewers have filmed themselves trying black pudding, and the footage usually involves a long silence followed by a request for water. The Spanish have morcilla, the French have boudin noir, but somehow British black pudding provokes a uniquely visceral response, perhaps because we serve it at breakfast alongside fried eggs and a cheerful cup of tea. We eat blood sausage before 9 a.m. and think nothing of it. The rest of the world thinks everything of it. Second pattern break. Here is what makes this list different from any other country's version. Most nations have one or two foods that confuse outsiders. Britain has an entire cuisine that operates on a different wavelength. We name dishes after animals that are not in them. We eat blood before breakfast. We put crisps inside bread and call it a meal. And we do all of this with total sincerity. Every entry from here forward is something the British public consumes without a flicker of self-awareness, while the rest of the world watches in genuine disbelief. Number 17. Spotted dick. It is a steamed suet pudding studded with dried fruit. That is all it is. The name, however, has caused more international confusion than any other entry on this list. Foreign tourists photograph it on pub menus and send the picture home. American food writers have devoted entire articles to the name alone. But beyond the name, the dish itself baffles. A dense, heavy steamed pudding made with suet, served with custard, eaten as a dessert in a country that also considers cheese and biscuits a pudding course. The concept of suet as a dessert ingredient is alien to most of the world. The weight of the thing is alarming. One slice of spotted dick could anchor a small boat. Yet in Britain, it is nostalgia on a plate, served in school canteens and country pubs with equal reverence. Number 16. Prawn cocktail. A glass filled with shredded iceberg lettuce, topped with cold prawns, smothered in a pink sauce made from mayonnaise and ketchup. In the 1970s, this was the height of British sophistication. It was served at dinner parties, weddings, and hotel restaurants as a starter that announced you had arrived. The rest of the world, especially the French who invented proper seafood platters, found this baffling then, and still find it baffling now. The sauce is sweet, the prawns are tiny, the lettuce is decorative at best. Yet the prawn cocktail never truly left. It retreated from fine dining into the chill cabinet at Tesco, where it lives on as a sandwich filling and party platter staple. For a nation surrounded by sea, the prawn cocktail is an oddly landlocked interpretation of seafood. Number 15. Pie and mash with liquor. Not that kind of liquor. This is a bright green parsley sauce called liquor, made from the water used to cook eels, poured over a minced beef pie and a scoop of mashed potato. In London's East End, pie and mash shops have served this combination since the 1800s. The tiled interiors, the wooden benches, the white enamel plates. It is a dining experience that has not changed in over a century. Visitors from overseas stare at the green liquid pooling across their plate and genuinely do not know what they are looking at. The eely, herby flavor is unlike anything in international cuisine. Some shops still serve jellied eels alongside it, which only deepens the confusion. To Londoners, this is heritage food. To the rest of the planet, it looks like something served as a punishment. Number 14. Coronation chicken. Invented in 1953 for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, this cold chicken salad dressed in a curry-flavored mayonnaise has become one of the most ubiquitous sandwich fillings in Britain. The mild, fruity, vaguely spiced sauce bears almost no resemblance to actual curry, which infuriates the Indian subcontinent, and the idea of putting curry powder into mayonnaise appalls the French. Yet every Sainsbury's, Boots and corner shop meal deal in the country offers a coronation chicken option. It is the taste of a British lunch break. Internationally, it is the taste of culinary confusion. A jar of small onions submerged in dark malt vinegar, eaten straight from the jar or alongside a ploughman's lunch. The sourness is eye-watering, the crunch is violent, and the smell lingers on your fingers for the rest of the afternoon. In Germany, pickled vegetables are common. In Korea, pickled sides are essential. But the British pickled onion, aggressive, pungent, and consumed as a snack with a pint, occupies its own category of intensity. Pulling one from the jar with your fingers at the pub while your mate grimaces across the table is a social ritual that does not translate. Number 12. Worcestershire. Sauce on everything. We put it on cheese on toast. We stir it into stews. We shake it over shepherd's pie. We add it to Bloody Marys. We put it on beans. The rest of the world uses Worcestershire sauce sparingly, if at all. In Britain, it is a condiment of first resort. The fact that nobody outside of Britain can pronounce it properly only adds to the mystery. It is fermented anchovy juice, tamarind, and vinegar, yet we treat it like salt. Tables in British kitchens have a bottle of Lear and Perrins sitting next to the pepper grinder, as though this is normal. It is not normal. We just think it is. Number 11. Digestive biscuits with cheese. A sweet biscuit topped with a slab of mature cheddar. This combination sends the rest of Europe into a tailspin. The French have their cheese courses with carefully paired crackers and fruit. The Italians pair Parmigiano with honey. The British take a mass-produced wheat biscuit with a faintly sweet flavor and put mature cheddar on it. And it works. That is what confuses everyone. The slight sweetness of the digestive against the sharp bite of the cheese creates something oddly perfect. McVitie's did not design the digestive for this purpose, but the British public decided it was destiny. Christmas cheese boards across the nation feature digestives prominently, and no one questions it. Spongy, porous, pale circles of dough, toasted until the surface crisps and the inside stays chewy, smothered in butter that melts into every hole. Crumpets are entirely normal in Britain and entirely unknown in most of the world. Americans confuse them with English muffins. The French do not acknowledge them at all. The texture, soft and slightly rubbery, with 100 tiny craters pooling with melted butter, is unlike any bread product on earth. Eating a crumpet is a tactile experience. The butter drips down your wrist. The surface squeaks against your teeth. It is glorious and completely inexplicable to anyone who did not grow up waiting by the toaster for one. Third pattern break. Notice a theme. Half the entries on this list are not strange because of what they taste like. They are strange because of what they are called. Spotted dick, toad in the hole, mushy peas, bubble and squeak. British food sounds like it was named by someone having a mild breakdown in a potting shed. And yet every single name is spoken with complete sincerity in restaurants, chip shops, and school canteens across the nation. That gap between the absurd name and the total seriousness of delivery is what baffles the world more than anything else. Now, speaking of baffling names. Number 9. Toad in the hole. Sausages baked inside Yorkshire pudding batter. The name alone derails any international conversation. What toad? What hole? It is sausages in batter. But the name is what people remember, and the dish is what people photograph with a look of genuine bewilderment. Yorkshire pudding batter, puffed golden and crisp around bangers, served with onion gravy. In Japan, where food naming is poetic and precise, toad in the hole sounds like a nature documentary gone wrong. In America, where hot dogs in batter already exist as corn dogs, the concept is familiar, but the execution is baffling. Why is the batter so big? Why does it puff up like that? Why is there gravy? Because it is British. That is why. Number 8. Sandwich spread. That pale, slightly sweet, finely chopped vegetable paste in a jar, spread onto white bread and served to children across Britain for decades. The ingredients list reads like a salad that has been through a blender and mixed with salad cream. Heinz sandwich spread occupies a place in British cupboards that defies international comprehension. No other country produces anything quite like it. It is not a relish. It is not a chutney. It is not a salad. It is sandwich spread, and attempting to explain it to a foreigner usually ends with both parties looking defeated. Number 7. Bread sauce. A sauce made from bread. Milk is infused with onion, whole cloves and bay, then thickened with stale white breadcrumbs into a pale, creamy paste. It is served alongside roast chicken or turkey at Christmas. The French, who pride themselves on the mother sauces, consider bread sauce an affront. Using stale bread as a thickener instead of a roux made from butter and flour strikes most European cooks as an act of culinary surrender. Yet bread sauce has been served at British Christmas tables for centuries. Its mild, comforting, clove-scented flavor is inseparable from the taste of December 25th. Try describing it to an Italian. Watch their hands go up. Number 6. Peas pudding. Boiled split peas mashed into a thick, golden paste, served alongside ham or stuffed into a stotty cake. In the northeast of England, peas pudding is as ordinary as breathing. In the rest of the world, it does not exist. The nursery rhyme is known internationally: peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold. But the actual dish draws blank stares from anyone south of Watford, let alone south of Calais. The dense, earthy, faintly sweet mash bears no resemblance to any pea dish served elsewhere. It is not hummus, it is not dal, it is its own thing, and Britain is the only country that makes it. Number 5. Mince pies. Small pastry cases filled with a sweet, spiced mixture of dried fruits. Sugar and suet called mincemeat, despite containing no meat whatsoever. This confuses every nation on earth. The name says meat. The filling is fruit. The pastry is sweet. They are eaten exclusively at Christmas and consumed at a rate of approximately 800 million per year in Britain. Americans who encounter mince pies for the first time expect something savory and receive a mouthful of sticky, boozy, cinnamon-laced fruit. The disconnect is total. The Japanese find the suet unsettling. The Australians tolerate them because of colonial inheritance, but privately consider them strange. Yet in Britain, a mince pie with a cup of tea on Christmas Eve is a sacred act. We have been eating them for 500 years, and we are not about to explain ourselves. Number 4. Jellied eels. Cold chunks of eel suspended in their own savory jelly, eaten from a small tub with a fork. This is a London dish, born in the East End and sustained by tradition. The rest of Britain finds it challenging, and the rest of the world finds it incomprehensible. The jelly is not sweet. It is not flavored. It is the natural gelatin from the eel itself, set into a translucent wobble around grey-green chunks of fish. Eaten cold, often while standing outside a pie and mash shop, jellied eels are the meal most likely to make a foreign visitor quietly excuse themselves. Yet the stalls that sell them have queues. Real, actual queues. People want this. They choose it. Number 3. Chip shop curry sauce. Not a proper curry. Not even close. A luminous orange-yellow sauce of dubious origin, ladled from a heated tray in chip shops across the country. It tastes nothing like Indian, Thai, or Japanese curry. It tastes like chip shop curry sauce, a flavor that exists nowhere else on the planet. Poured over chips, it creates a combination that the entire Indian subcontinent would struggle to recognize, let alone claim. The sauce is sweet, faintly spiced, and so vividly colored it could double as paint. Yet on a Friday night, standing outside a chippy in the rain, chips and curry sauce is perfection. The world does not understand. The world does not need to. Number 2. Sunday roast with all the trimmings. Roast beef, roast potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, carrots, peas, gravy, horseradish sauce, and possibly cauliflower cheese, all piled onto a single plate at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Individually, none of these items are bizarre. Together, on one plate, in those quantities, with that much gravy, the Sunday roast becomes a monument to British excess that bewilders international visitors. The Yorkshire pudding alone causes confusion. Is it bread? Is it pastry? Why is it filled with gravy? Why is it the size of a cereal bowl? The idea of eating a single enormous multi-component meal in the middle of the afternoon and then falling asleep on the sofa watching Antiques Roadshow is a ritual that has no equivalent anywhere else. The French have their long lunches, but they pace themselves with courses and wine. We pile everything onto one plate, drown it in bisto, and call it a roast. Pubs advertise it on chalkboards. Families argue over who makes the best one. Entire relationships have been evaluated on the quality of someone's roast potatoes. The world watches and wonders how we are still standing. Number 1. A crisp sandwich. White bread. Butter. A packet of crisps tipped directly onto the bread. Pressed down until you hear them crack. Closed. Eaten. This is the most normal British meal, and yet the most bizarre to the rest of the world, because it is not just accepted here, it is beloved. Walker's cheese and onion is the classic filling. Salt and vinegar is the adventurous choice. Ready salted is for purists. There are no rules. There is no recipe. There is only instinct, passed down through generations of children who opened their lunchbox, looked at their plain sandwich, and thought, I can fix this. The crunch, the salt, the sheer absurdity of putting a snack inside a meal and calling it complete. It is indefensible and irresistible. In Northern Ireland, they take this so seriously that Belfast held an actual crisp sandwich festival. Food critics around the world have called it the laziest meal in existence. We call it lunch. We call it a snack. We call it dinner if nobody is watching. And we would not change a single thing about it. Drop a comment telling me which of these you had this week. I already know most of you had at least 3. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you in the next one.